Hello, good afternoon. This is CapCAN Knows, the official podcast of the Capital Area College Access Network. You might be familiar with our newsletter articles of the same name. We are excited to try something new to engage the community in conversations about college access. I am your host, Jacob Tkaczyk, an AmeriCorps Vista serving with the Capital Area College Access Network. And we have a very special episode today as we will first be trying out a new format, and we have two guests with me today instead of one. Joining me first is CapCAN's Executive Director, Michele Strasz, back from her first episode. And our featured guest today is State Representative Sarah Anthony, who is serving her first full term representing the 68th House District, which encompasses part of the city of Lansing and Lansing Township. So let's get started. First of all, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
We're very excited to have you here.
Awesome. So first, bringing into the new format, Michele is actually going to kick us off with asking the first question for you, Representative Anthony.
So Sarah, I've known you a while, but I would love to have you tell our listeners what made you want to run for the position of state representative.
Thank you, Michele. I'm so excited to be here. I wanted to run for state rep because there was an opening and an opportunity. So this has been really a historic time in our country. So we just started the 100th legislature, and it was a historic year for women, for people of color to get involved in politics. And I've always been involved in elected office and community service and public service. And so when there was an opportunity and an opening to run, I had to think about it long and hard. I talked to my parents, I talked to people in the community, and they all said the same thing, that I could be a strong voice for Lansing. I'm born and raised here, and I have some experience at the local level in politics and government, and so they thought that this would be the right time to take my service to the next step. So I decided to run, and being from Lansing, I see a lot of need here. I see a lot of poverty. I see a lot of issues in our education system, in our environment, in our infrastructure. And so people like me, people like you, like many of us can't just sit down and complain and yell at the TV and yell at the radio. We have to get involved. And although I've chosen government and public service, we all can figure out our niche, our path to get involved. And I thought that this would be the opportunity for me to take service to the level of the legislature.
I remember one of the first times you had a conversation with me, I said to you, when are you going to run? So of course I was very excited when you decided to move forward. So you've sort of indicated a little bit about your journey and pathway. Tell us a little about your journey from being a young person and a student to of course taking your oath of office here on January 1st.
Yeah, it's a cool journey. It's a very uniquely Lansing journey. So born and raised in Lansing, and my senior year in high school at Everett High School, we had an internship program. The internship program allowed seniors who had enough credits to graduate to do an internship at the Capitol. And so I interned for a woman out of Detroit. Her name was Mary Waters. And I was afforded the opportunity to serve in her office. And I immediately fell in love with just being in that environment. To see a woman to be a legislator, to make decisions, to serve her community with so much conviction and passion. I said, I don't think I'll ever run for office, but I want to be involved in this process, right? As a 17, 18-year-old, I said, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to be in this building. And so it sparked my interest. So when I graduated from high school, I went to probably the best institution in the United States, Central Michigan University.
Fire up chips.
Exactly. And I majored in political science and continued to stay involved in different campaigns and activities. Came back to Lansing to serve. I worked on a couple of campaigns and but I always saw myself as behind the scenes. And many folks don't know that I also fell in love with education. And when I was around 21, 22, I ran for school board here in Lansing because I said, I went to these schools. I see some places that I could serve. And so I ran for school board. And I lost. And I didn't lose bad, but I did lose, right? And I learned so much from that experience. Yeah. I learned what to do and what not to do in campaigns. And that was a really valuable experience. But it was also very hurtful. So I said, I never want to do that again. I'm never going to put myself out there. But of course I did. I ran for county commissioner when our now mayor, Andy Shore, was a county commissioner. He called me up and said, you might want to consider maybe running for something. I think that, you do a good job. At this point, I was working in the legislature in the same office that I now serve in for the former state representative, Joan Bauer. And I was her legislative assistant for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so I ran for county commission and I won. And, it's continued to open up many doors and many paths for me. Being a county commissioner was super rewarding. I got a chance to work on a lot of different issues to impact Lansing, South Lansing in particular. It's just been a journey that has just evolved and really grown. But the big string of all of that was really just a love for our community, a love for Lansing. So, again, when opportunities arise, politics is all about timing, I feel like. And so when the opportunity arose to continue to serve and to do so at the legislature, I reluctantly threw my name in the hat, and we were able to win, to actually be victorious in that. So we've been serving since November of 2018, and we're still learning a lot. I'm still learning a ton. So
awesome, and congratulations on your win again.
Thank you.
So you did touch on it quite a bit. Born and raised in Lansing, went to school an hour away, and now you're back to help the people of Lansing, as it seems like you've always wanted to do. So even though you did touch on it, can you touch on it a little bit more on what it means to you to represent the city of Lansing, whether it's the children, whether it's every citizen? Could you please touch a little bit more on that?
Yes. So I love Lansing. My friends will call me the Leslie Knope of Lansing. I do not watch Parks and Rec, but I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It's supposed to be a compliment.
Okay.
I need to watch it as well, tied to Parks and Recreation in my own background, so I should watch it as well, but from what I hear,
it's a compliment? Good. Because I love the city. So my parents are here. My siblings are here. I love our community. It is diverse. It's inclusive. Mm-hmm. There's so much to do and see here. But I do know there's also challenges. We can't have rose-colored glasses or contact lenses and not see the issues of poverty and the issues that impact everyday working families in our community. And so it just means everything to be able to now go to the schools that help to shape and mold me and read to students and tell them that someone from these schools can do things outside of the normal things, right? It means so much to go to my church and to see my Sunday school teacher say, we're just so proud of you, right? And thanks for paying attention in Sunday school. So really being able to be from a community and serve that community and have folks look up to you, right? I think it just means a ton. My parents are also always scream and like call me every time I'm on the news now, and I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal anymore. But they'll even
They're
probably
proud of you.
They are. They'll be listening to this podcast too, so I got to make sure not to say anything.
Be sure to send them like 2 months.
She will appreciate it. So it means a lot.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
So you were able to have your first resolution passed on December 21st of 2018 about Children's Savings Account Awareness Day. Can you tell us a little bit about the resolution and why you supported that?
Yes, my very first resolution in the middle of lame duck session, which is probably one of the craziest times of the legislature, in which like hundreds of bills are being passed and there's chaos and there's frustrations. I know. But in the midst of all that, I hearken back to what I'm passionate about, which is kids and college access. And the Lansing Save program is one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state.
We're the only one with a continuum in the country.
That's right. And so what better way to not just showcase what we're doing in Lansing, but also highlight just the issue of college affordability and making sure that we're investing in kids right from the start. And so I wanted my my first resolution and really my first bills broadly to be focused on kids, to be focused on youth issues. And so in the middle of the night during Lame Duck,
you just had to keep awake, right?
I know. So I introduced that legislation, and we worked really closely with our partners at Lansing Save and CEDUM and the Mott Foundation have all really helped to prioritize college affordability, and because we know that even a small amount of money early on can make a difference in just changing the mindset of many low-income students and their families. And I am a firm believer in just the transformative effect of education. And so it's just one that I'm super passionate about, and I was really honored to now name December 21st as Children's Savings Accounts Awareness Day.
Right.
So forever.
Put it on the calendar.
That's
forever.
Right. That's right. And it's strategically placed around Christmas because we think of parents and grandparents, and instead of getting all those toys that will become very obsolete in a matter of a couple weeks or months for kids, why not invest a little bit in a savings account for a kid?
The gift that keeps on giving.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. And there's nothing more fun than seeing a little person come in with their pennies that they've saved and make that deposit into their own account.
That's right. That's right.
Great. So one of my first joys in my role here at CapCAN has been working with you as our liaison through your role as the Deputy Director for the Michigan College Access Network. As you said, you've always been an advocate for children and for education. And now that you're in office, you have a much different platform and voice that you can bring to the conversation about college access. So what will be some of your priorities that you will work on now in both the legislative and appropriations process?
Yes, I was so proud to this week be named the ranking Democrat on the House Higher Education Appropriations Subcommittee. Appropriations, a fancy word for money, budgets, right? I hate when folks use fancy jargon sometimes. So I will be on the Appropriation Committee to help figure out how money is spent in our state. I believe budgets are moral documents, and so what you invest in shows where your priorities are. And my biggest lens that I'll be bringing to this work is around affordability. How can we make post-secondary education affordable for everyone? When we see the statistics that, by the year 2020, right, next year, 70% of the new jobs created in our state will require a bachelor's degree, right? That's jarring when you think about the students who are actually attaining post-secondary credentials. And so I am going to be an advocate not just for bachelor's degrees and associate's degrees. Those are important. But my mantra will be, we need a little bit of everything. I know that's the mantra of CapCAN, that we need to be making sure that students, regardless of their income level, zip code, race, what their parents did, that they have an additional piece of paper after high school, certificate, skilled trades, whatever it is, right? Finding out what the best fit is for students. Because oftentimes we work in the extremes in politics and government. We have to say everyone needs a PhD or no one needs any type, just, 8th grade, that's enough, right? We need to be somewhere in the middle to say we need a little bit of everything for our students. And so I'm going to be using my voice to do that, to be a proponent of education, specifically post-secondary education, but also making sure I'm influencing the purse strings because we need to make sure we're investing in education, right? So from pre-K all the way on up. So education has been transformative to me. I'm a first-generation college student myself, but my parents always said that additional piece of paper, that is what's going to make sure that they can't just automatically close the door on you, that you at least have entree to be at the table. And so I want to make sure we're opening opportunities for kids just like me across the state.
I do want to follow up you for a second. So part of our role here at CapCAN, of course, is mobilizing our community to provide you with input regarding what types of priorities that we all have related to college access. We would love for people in the community to reach out to your office to be able to share some of that insight. So how would someone go about contacting you if they would like to send their 2 cents?
Yes. So there's a number of ways. So my door is literally always open during business hours. So people can stop up. So we are in the Anderson House office building, which is across the street from the Capitol. So they can come on up. We're on the 10th floor, and set up a meeting either with myself or with my team, and we can talk about everything from legislative ideas that they may have, concerns, just thoughts, just to hang out. We would love to have folks just in the office.
We could bring you cookies.
Yes. So, so please stop up. You can also just give us a call if you have an idea or a question. My number is 517-373-0826. Always email. So Sarah Anthony at house.mi.gov. Yeah, right. I'm like, I don't email myself often. So Sarah Anthony at house.mi.gov. They can email me as well. So lots of ways to get in touch with us, because that is how public policy is informed. That's how it's shaped. I have ideas. I have thoughts. I have my lens coming from Lansing. So I have an idea of what we prioritize, but it's nothing like hearing directly from people. The best ideas do not come necessarily from those 110 representatives. They come from the districts that that sent us here. So yes, I would love to hear from folks.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we will be plugging in the description of this video or this podcast all the links that she said and contact information as well for anybody who feels the need to share. But so we're going to jump back to college once more. Specifically, you going to college. So you mentioned Central Michigan University, greatest university in the world.
Michelle, stop giving us that.
James Madison, MSU. It's just.
It's all right, but it's okay. We don't dislike Michigan State here.
That's right.
But and you talked about specifically talking to these kids and getting a chance to see them, and we talked about Lansing Save as well. And so I've had many conversations with relatives, friends, family, and other people in the community now, being that I'm the newest amongst the three of us in college access. And they're a little confused when I mention CapCAN and what we hope to achieve and our goals. And I think that a lot of people don't really realize how widespread our views are and what we support. As you said, skilled trade, PhD level degrees, certifications and whatnot. It's very important. But also, who encouraged you to go to college, and why was it important to continue your education? Because you did not stop at an undergraduate degree, from my understanding.
Yeah. So my parents encouraged me to go. There was an old campaign that was called Know How to Go, right? In which they gave kind of the step-by-step tools on what you should be doing to go. I didn't have a lot of those steps. I just was told you're going to go. But in terms of the financial aid and the processes and the tests that I needed to take, no one could give me advice on the logistics of going to college, and so I had to kind of find some of that out myself. So I was always encouraged to go because of again that piece of paper is really a ticket, right? It gives you access to tables. And when I talk to kids, sometimes they just hear me say, well, that's just more school. And I don't want more school. I don't want to go. After high school, I want to be done with this stuff. And I say, college was the most rewarding part of my entire journey. And it wasn't just the academics, right? It wasn't just having amazing professors like Dr. Baugh and Dr. Johnson at Central Michigan, right? Yeah. Who could really expose you to different ideas and philosophies and thoughts. But it was the informal conversations with my classmates from all over the country, right? Working on projects with people from completely different backgrounds, living in close quarters with folks from the UP and from West Virginia. I mean, all parts of the country and really the world, getting those shared experiences, making those connections and those networks with people was just as valuable as the actual knowledge that you get from the classes. I think that if we all took the time to not just be in those spaces, but actually understand different people, it sets you on a better foundation to be a part of this global society that we're a part of. So that's another piece of the college experience that sometimes folks will miss, is the networking and building those relationships, and tapping into diverse thought, right? So not just the racial and gender makeup, but tell me why you think the way you do. Show me, your different political philosophy, so that when we do get into a space where we're in the workplace, I may not agree, but I understand, right? I understand. I'm a critical thinker about things. When I see stuff on the news, I ask questions like, where'd that sample size come from? Where'd you get that data? Is it a reputable source? Those are things that I learned in college. And it's just kept me balanced. It's helped me be a better legislator in the couple of weeks I've been there, but also on the county commission and in my job with the Michigan College Access Network. I think it's made me a better, stronger professional and just a better citizen. So college is more than just a 2 or 4 year experience, but it can really be just a life-changing experience as well. So that's what I try to tell folks, that it's more than just the piece of paper, the degree.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Going to college myself, I grew up in not a very diverse area, specifically, so where there wasn't too many different viewpoints and opinions out there. So getting to kind of go out into the world and experience a little bit more is so valuable, because it really helps you, or I believe it really helps somebody kind of develop further, because the more experience you have, that's how you develop as a person. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Also, another thing we have in common is I also am a first generation college student. Neither of my parents unfortunately got the chance to go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First generation college graduate?
Yes.
Nice.
So
congrats.
My sisters are finishing up school themselves, so they'll be college graduates as well. So
you're a pioneer.
Thank you.
In the family.
Thank you.
Congrats.
So I guess my older brothers went first, but still,
yeah,
first gen, right?
That's right. Right.
And so, what advice do you have for other first generation college students, being that not everybody, such as ourselves, had parents who got to go to college and could help us really? I mean, they helped as much as they could, but they couldn't really guide us through that pathway from experience, and rather had to experience along with us. What advice do you have for those students?
Yeah. So, in addition to, having a great college tour in high school of Central Michigan, and I went to a couple of other universities and got a chance to pick around, but Central was close. It was far enough, so it wasn't Michigan State around the corner, even though that would have been an entirely different experience as well. But it was close enough to home that in my first generation mind, I thought, I'm going to be home every weekend, because I just want to go to that place and then come home and be around my parents and be around my community and my tribe. So for first generation college students like myself, you have to constantly advocate for yourself, being a strong self-advocate. No one's going to figure it out for you. And so for many of us first generation students who can't rely on the experience of our grandparents and parents to tell you about what that FAFSA thing is, right? Or, what do you do around, balancing how many credits that you take at one time. You have to really be resourceful. So I would advise first generation students to advocate, to effectively learn how to ask questions, be resourceful, because you have to do that for yourself as a first gen student.
All right, awesome, thank you. And it sounds like we both had very strong support networks from our parental units as well. And I think it's important that for students, especially first gen, who might not have the strongest support, or it's not as, it wasn't pushed on them as much. I think it's important that they utilize their legislators, they utilize their high schools, their advisors, to kind of help get that exposure and help them out. Because if they truly find a path they want to go down, whether it's through medicine, whether it's into politics, whether it's education, it's really important to look at your options post high school, because that's where everything's going to be in the future. So thank you for sharing that that advice. So I really appreciate it. So thank you.
What So I'm going to jump down to our final thing. So we end every interview with CapCAN knows. Started in our newsletter article. So what we'd like for you to say is, my name is Sarah Anthony and I know. This is your ultimate wisdom. It's recorded for posterity.
No pressure.
Yeah. My name is Sarah Anthony, and I know I belong here. So whatever table that I am at, be it at a boardroom, in the legislature, at the church, wherever I am, I know that I belong in that space, that my voice is valued, that it is unique to only me, that I'm representing people when I'm at that space. So I know that I belong in that space and I should not be shy or timid about using my voice in that space. So my name is Sarah Anthony and I know that I belong here.
Awesome. Because we also know that all of these young people we work with also belong
That's right.
at those tables.
That's right. That's right.
Excellent.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Representative Anthony. Thank you so much, Michelle. But it looks like, unfortunately, and I know I'm not the only one that could be here all day, but it looks like that's all the time that we have for today. So once again, I want to thank you both for joining me and chatting with me today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It was wonderful to have with you.
And once again, to our listeners, we will be plugging in the description of the audio podcast all the links that Representative Anthony mentioned before, and how to get in contact with her, how to let your concerns in the community aware, so she can bring it up and represent you in the Capitol. So. And then also, for any more information on CapCAN, please make sure to follow us on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which will also be linked in the description below. And then you may also visit our website at capitalareacan.org. So thank you all for listening to us today, and we will see you again soon.